Alright, folks. Now that I've finished talking about my first job in the mountains, let's talk about my second job in the mountains, Lake Louise. So, after finishing the contract in the Columbia fields, a friend I met lets me know that he's going to be moving to Lake Louise, Alberta, to work at the ski resort, and he talked about all the great benefits of working there. You know, the raise, the ski pass, actually getting your own room as opposed to having to share a room with roommates. It's getting your own separate room, not having to share with other people. And actually getting to live in a town as opposed to the genuine middle of nowhere. Lake Louise has a couple of gas stations and some hotels, and as I said, has a ski resort and a few government services. So I wanted to work there, and after applying for the job, my friend talks my boss into giving me the green light, but I also talked with him on the phone. And after getting the green light from the transportation minister, I moved to Lake Louise to start working. My job was very simple. It was to use the buses to transport staff members from Canmore to Lake Louise and back during the summertime, and to transport staff members around the town in the following winter. I found the summer resort I found the summer attraction at the ski resort to be pretty lackluster. The view was nice, but there was nothing you could see in the building that you couldn't see in the Banff Park Museum. It wasn't worth the $60. Basically, all they had was a short walking hike and a museum, but as I said, everything that is to see in there could be seen at the Banff Museum. So, the building I lived in was the Charleston Residence. It was the staff accommodation for the ski resort. It was the largest apartment complex in the town of Lake Louise. It could house up to 400 people, and it was owned by the ski resort. It looked nice from the outside. It was a pretty good log cabin building, I guess, but the inside was a fucking dump. I had to spend about 2 hours cleaning the place because nobody took care of it, even though I'm pretty lax about that stuff. What was really sad was that my room was actually one of the cleanest. It also had broken outlets, light bulbs, and lanterns. The common room was a broken down mess, and there was garbage everywhere. Inside, outside, the hallways, you name it. My roommate's situation sucked too, until August. I thought it was ultimately worth it to pay cheap rent and to live and work in the mountains. It's not a huge deal, though. It was ultimately worth it to live in the town, as I said, and go hiking every week or two. My favorite hikes were Boom Lake, Taylor Lake, Sea Level Cirque, Quarry Pass, and Fairview Mountain. So, before August, every time I got a new roommate, they'd produce a new story. The first guy was a guy I met. He was just leaving in May, which is when I started. So in May, I meet this guy. He was my first roommate. And every time I got a new roommate, they'd produce a new story. So what this guy did was, so the night before I went to work, I used the washroom, and the following morning he goes to use the washroom, closes the door and locks it, and then I hear a loud, "Ah! Ah! Ugh! Fuck!" Was this... Okay, so you tripped over the carpet. It's not that big a deal. There's no need for you to be so dramatic about it. And so I went off to work. And then I got back. And the guy He goes and introduces himself to me. He's all, "Hi, I'm such and such, and I'd like to welcome you to the Lake Louise, welcome you to Charleston," and all that other stuff. He's pretty nice, pretty good so far. But then the conversation turns to, "Now we have to discuss this matter." Okay. This is thinking, okay. And he starts talking about how, I've kind of taken over that bathroom. I have to have it to myself. And thinking, okay, why? And he's all, "You see, I be sitting down." And I kind of shoot him a confused look, wondering why he was telling me this. He seems to notice. He noticed that, and he said, "Well," and he tells me that I left the toilet seat up, and so he fell in. And it was unpleasant for him, as he said. And I'm listening to this, and I'm thinking, well, okay, number one, I peed in the toilet last night and didn't flush it to try and conserve water. So you made sure you showered after that happened, right? This day I still don't know. Number two, I was thinking, I like that I'm receiving this lecture from a guy. This was a guy who was giving me this lecture. It wasn't a woman, it was a dude. Dude, I mean, I could kind of understand a woman giving me this lecture if she wasn't used to living with men or something like that, but you're a dude. You should know how to piss properly. Number three, that sounds kind of embarrassing. Are you sure you want to tell me? And number four, my other thing was just so, what happens if he tries using the outhouse and someone leaves the seat up? Does he just fall into the sewage containment system? And then what happens? Does he try, pushing all the shit up against the wall to try and escape? Does he try calling Parks Canada? Does he try calling 911? What does he do? My friend at the ski resort thinks he'd just die if that happened. So, the second story, I got a couple of roommates. So it was an Australian couple, and they broke up. Well, apparently the guy was spreading shit about the woman at the ski resort, and so she comes to the place I was living in to confront my roommate about this at fucking midnight. The walls in Charleston are paper thin, so I could hear every word of their stupid argument. It was awful. And to top it off, I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to Canmore to pick people up. It was horrible. Awful roommates. The third roommate. So, I met her as I was coming home. I think it was from work, or it might have been from a road trip. I don't really remember. But so I meet her as she's unpacking. I introduce myself, and we get along just fine. So that happened on Wednesday. And then on Friday, the maintenance guys for the apartment complex, they come in, they tell me they're repairing damage. That's not too abnormal. There's not much to be concerned with there. It's pretty normal. Maintenance often just comes in and just repairs whatever wear and tear they find. That's absolutely normal. And then on Saturday, I get a phone call from the police wanting to talk to me about some damage that had been done in the room. But I'd never been in that room, and I didn't know there was damage in there, so I couldn't really tell them much. Basically, I just gave them a rundown of the week and the story I already told you, and then the cops left. Then I heard a rumor that I had gone into the room and done something very bad, and that, the police were involved, and that was really fucked up. I don't know what they meant by that, but I talked to housing about it, and they told me that, no, we don't suspect that you went in there, but we are going to investigate this rumor that was spread about you. Then I find out that this roommate had spread some rumors that I had done something very, very bad, that I had, gone into her room and done something very, very bad. This person almost had me locked up, to make a long story short. Awful, awful roommates, but when I realized the rumor was being spread around, I realized something. That everyone in that building was a staff member of the Lake Louise ski resort. So, if I just let that rumor spread, no one was going to want to bunk with me. Then I'd have the whole place to myself and I wouldn't have to share it. So I decided to just let the gossip do its thing. Let the gossip work its magic for me. But during the summer, while me and my friend were drinking a beer on the side of the road, he introduced me to one of his friends. His name was Tim. Tim was a very nice, outgoing person who enjoyed things such as, long hikes in the mountain with his girlfriend. My friend, me, Tim, and his girlfriend, we all even took a day trip to Kimberly together. It was really fun. It was really good. Good. In November, the winter operation started, and I got to go skiing. The Lake Louise Ski Resort is one of the best ski resorts in Canada. It's actually one of the few ski resorts in which you can ski on all sides of the mountain as opposed to just one side. You can ski on the west side, the east side, south side, and the north side. It's really good. The view from the top of the mountains is also beautiful, and skiing was always very fun on the mountain. I also went to Sunshine Village, Kicking Horse, and Nakiska. Also, very good ski hills. The only bad month was December. I got hurt, and the ski resort was too busy. So what happened was, I was going down a black run, and the area sort of ended in a ditch. Now, what ended up happening was, as I was skiing, I tripped on the edge of the ditch, and I fell squarely on my face. And my chest and all around here. It knocked me unconscious. The problem was that my helmet only protects the top of my head, not the bottom of it, which received the full force of the impact. I got a bruise here. I had to get stitches here. And it put me out of work for a couple of days. The worst part about it was that I broke my glasses, which I used to wear at the time. I don't wear glasses anymore. I got laser eye surgery, but I broke my glasses, and so I asked my sister to send me my spare pair, which I'd left at home. But then they got lost in the mail. And so I basically had to work as a bus driver for about a week with my glasses taped right around here. Terrible situation. Terrible situation. But getting to the point of it being busy. Lake Louise is a world-renowned ski resort, and the Christmas season is usually the busiest time of the year for a ski resort. In fact, at some ski hills, the only way the hill turns a profit is if they're able to operate during the ski season and if everyone shows up. Let's get to the end. At the end of 2023, I got fired from the ski resort. What happened was that I was told to take the people to the GVL building. It's just a building that's located kind of on the east side of Yoho National Park. It's in British Columbia as opposed to Alberta. So I was told to take people to that building in Yoho from Charleston. I was taking them from Charleston to Yoho, and then at the end of the day from Yoho back to Charleston. It was so dark and the weather was so bad that I couldn't see the road ahead of me. What happened was we had a really brutal snowstorm that night. Very brutal snowstorm. It was so bad I couldn't see the road. I couldn't see 2 feet in front of me. It was awful. So I was on the highway. It put me in this sort of catch-22 because I had to sort of be considerate in the sense that if I couldn't see the road ahead of me, it stands to reason that the person behind me can't see too far himself. So I had to kind of try to keep speed with the traffic. But what ended up happening was that I crashed into a snowbank on the side of the road. Nobody was injured, and the bus suffered less than $400 of damage. Basically, the only thing that happened was that the grill got knocked off. I was grilled on the speed that I was going, but I can't in good faith estimate that I was going faster than 40 kilometers an hour because the hood, windshield, fender, and headlights were not damaged. They were not damaged. But here's the problem. HR showed up at the scene of the accident. I thought their intentions were to help me, but they were actually there to throw me under the bus. Which is exactly what they did. I was fired 2 days later. My manager threw out a bunch of BS excuses to do it, but I also noticed he seemed particularly rattled. He might have had a sense of fear in his eyes. I don't know. Also, the night I was fired, the night before I was fired, the Charleston residents had to be evacuated because of a fire that started in a kitchen. There were rumors going around about who started the fire and how that ultimately, for once, turned out to be true. Which I'm not going to bother getting into. Eventually, we were allowed to go back into the building to go to sleep. This happened in the dead of night. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, I think it happened. I talked with my friends, my roommates. I even talked to Tim about what was going on with this evacuation, because he was living in the Charleston building too. Something about this whole ordeal gave me the feeling that this was some kind of foreshadowing. But I simply shrugged it off. I got fired because I was unlucky. Or was I? Stay tuned for the aftermath, folks. You have a good day now.